You check your bank account and feel it, that small pinch in your chest. The numbers don't lie. You're working, you're saving, you're doing everything right. So why does it feel like you're running in place? The answer is not about how much you earn. The answer is about a formula you were never taught, a formula the wealthy have used for centuries, a formula so simple that when you hear it, you'll wonder why nobody told you sooner. Let's start with a question. What is money, really? You probably think of it as pieces of paper, or numbers on a screen, or coins in your pocket. But money is not a thing. Money is a story we all agree to believe. And like any story, it can be rewritten. In 1978, psychologist Daniel Kahneman and his colleague Amos Tversky published a study that changed everything. They asked people a simple question. Would you rather have $50 for certain or a 50% chance at $100? Most people chose the certain 50. Then they flipped the question. Would you rather lose $50 for certain or take a 50% chance at losing 100? Most people chose the gamble. This is called loss aversion. The pain of losing is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. You feel losses more deeply than wins. Now think about your money. What do you feel when you spend? That pinch, that tiny ache, that moment of hesitation. Your brain is wired to protect you from loss. But here's the twist. That wiring is ancient. It was designed for a world where one bad day meant starvation. In that world, avoiding loss kept you alive. But in today's world, avoiding loss is keeping you broke. Let's go back further, way further. Imagine a hunter-gatherer standing in a grassland 30,000 years ago. He sees a bush full of berries. He knows the berries are safe. He's eaten them before. But there is another bush nearby, one he's never tried. The berries look sweet. They might be delicious. They might also be poison. What does he choose? The safe bush, every time. Survival depends on the known. The unknown could kill him. That hunter-gatherer is you. Your brain is the same brain. It craves certainty. It fears the unknown. And money is the ultimate unknown. You can't touch it. You can't taste it. You can't see it growing. So your brain treats it like those unknown berries, dangerous, risky. Better to hold on to what you have, even if what you have is not enough. This is why most people never build wealth. They trade their time for money. They save what they can. They invest cautiously, if at all. They follow the rule they were taught: work hard, save money, stay safe. But there is another path, a path that starts with a single word: leverage. Think about leverage for a moment. A lever is a simple machine. You place it under a heavy object. You push down on one end. The other end lifts something massive. A small force becomes a large force. That is leverage. Now apply that to money. How do you lift more with less? How do you make $1 do the work of 10? In 2018, researchers at the University of Chicago studied the habits of wealthy families. They found something surprising. The wealthy don't save more than everyone else, not in percentage terms. What they do differently is this: they put their savings to work. Every dollar saved becomes a tool that builds more dollars, a tool that works while they sleep, a tool that never gets tired. This is the first part of the formula: leverage. But leverage alone is not enough. You also need velocity. Imagine two rivers. One river is wide and deep. It moves slowly. The other is narrow and shallow. It moves fast. Which one carries more water over time? The fast one. Money works the same way. A dollar that moves quickly creates more value than a dollar that sits still. Velocity beats volume. Speed beats size. But you weren't taught this. You were taught to save. You were taught to be patient. You were taught to wait for compound interest to work its magic. And compound interest is real. It works, but it works slowly, very slowly. At 5%, your money doubles every 14 years. That is not fast enough. In 2014, economist Thomas Piketty published a landmark book. He showed that the return on capital has historically been higher than economic growth. This means the wealthy get richer simply by owning things, land, companies, patents, intellectual property. They don't work harder, they don't work longer, they just own things that generate returns, and those returns compound faster than wages grow. This is the second part of the formula, velocity. Own things that generate return, make your money move. But there is a third piece, a piece most people miss completely, scale. If you have leverage and velocity, you can grow, but if you cannot scale, you hit a ceiling. Think about your job. You trade hours for dollars. There are only 24 hours in a day. There are only so many hours you can work. You have a ceiling. The wealthy understand this. They don't trade time for money. They trade systems for money. They build something that works without them. A book, a course, a business, a portfolio, a system that grows even when they do nothing. In 1979, psychologist Ellen Langer conducted a famous experiment. She gave lottery tickets to two groups of people. One group chose their own numbers, the other group got random numbers. Then she offered to buy back the tickets. The people who chose their own numbers demanded 4 times as much. They believed their choices had value. They believed they had control. This is called the illusion of control. You believe you control your financial destiny, but you are playing a game whose rules you don't understand. Here is the third part of the formula. Scale. Build systems, not hours. Create assets, not income. Make money without your presence. This is how the wealthy think. This is how they act. And this is the formula. Leverage times velocity times scale. L times V times S. That is the equation. But there is a problem. A big one. Your brain is not designed for this formula. Your brain wants safety. Your brain wants certainty. Your brain wants the known berries. Every part of you will resist this formula, and that is exactly why the formula works, because most people will never use it. Most people will stay in the safe bush. Most people will trade time for money until they retire. Most people will never know what they could have built. Let's go back to that hunter-gatherer. What if he tried the unknown berries? What if they were safe? What if they were delicious? What if they gave him more energy than any known food? He would have discovered something new. He would have taught his tribe. He would have changed everything. But he didn't. He chose the safe bush. He chose the known. He stayed alive, and that was enough. But you are not fighting for survival anymore. You are fighting for freedom, and freedom requires risk. In 2018, researchers at MIT studied why some people become entrepreneurs and others don't. They found one surprising factor: a willingness to test small hypotheses, to run tiny experiments, to spend $20 and see what happens, to try a side hustle for one weekend, to take a course and learn a new skill. The people who tested small bets built massive wealth over time. The people who stayed safe stayed stuck. This is the hidden truth. Wealth is not about earning more. It is about building a system that earns for you. It is about understanding the formula. L times V times S, leverage, velocity, scale. Every rich person uses this formula. They may not know the terms, but they live the equation. Think about the richest people you know, not the celebrities, the quiet ones, the ones who retired at 50, the ones who own buildings, the ones who travel when they want. What do they have in common? They don't trade time for money. They own things that generate income. They have leverage. They have velocity. They have scale. Now think about yourself. Where are you in the equation? Are you trading time for money? Are you saving slowly? Are you waiting for the miracle of compound interest? There is nothing wrong with these things, but they are not the formula. They are the safe bush. They keep you alive. They keep you comfortable. They also keep you small. Let's be honest for a moment. This is hard to hear. It is hard to realize that everything you were taught about money might be incomplete. It is hard to accept that your parents and teachers gave you good advice, but not enough advice. It is hard to admit that you have been running in place, but you are not alone. Everyone starts here. Everyone begins by trading time for money. Everyone begins by saving. Everyone begins by being safe. The difference is what you do next. In 2016, psychologist Angela Duckworth published her research on grit. She found that persistence and passion were better predictors of success than intelligence or talent. But grit alone is not enough. You also need direction, you need a formula, you need to know where to apply your persistence. The wealthy apply their persistence to the formula. They build systems, they create leverage, they increase velocity, they scale. Here is what you can do starting today. First, find a way to leverage your time. Hire someone to do something you hate. Use technology to automate a task. Buy an asset that produces income. Second, increase velocity. Put your money to work faster. Invest in something that turns over. Start a side project. Learn a skill that pays more per hour. Third, think about scale. Build something that doesn't need you. Write a book, create a digital product, start a website, build a portfolio. The formula is simple, but simple does not mean easy. There will be fear, there will be uncertainty, there will be mistakes, there will be losses. That is part of the formula. The wealthy accept this, they expect it, they plan for it, they understand that every loss is tuition, every mistake is a lesson, every failure is data. They don't avoid the unknown berries, they taste them carefully, they test them, they learn.